welcome up to the stage Angelina Jolie and Elle Fanning. Both of you. Just very, very quick introductions before we get going. Angelina Jolie plays Maleficent in the film, Maleficent, star of films including Wanted, Changeling and Mr. and Mrs. Smith and many more. Won the Best Supporting Oscar in 2000 for Girl Interrupted. Elle Fanning, playing Aurora in Maleficent, appeared recently in films including Somewhere, Ginger and Rosa and We Bought a Zoo, having started acting for film and TV from a very young age. Thanks both of you for being here. One question for me to start with, first to Angelina. So here with Maleficent we have a new look at the Sleeping Beauty fable, which has gone through many, many versions, including obviously the 1959 Disney film. This one puts the idea of the traditional villain centre stage, and by doing so upends the whole idea of the villain. Was that particularly attractive for you and all your collaborators to take this story, which everybody knows, but come at it at a very, very, very different perspective?
Yes, I think I remember hearing that they were going to make a film about Maleficent, and we thought, God, how could you possibly make a film where the center character curses a baby, and in any way make that appealing? And Linda Wolverton really wanted to back up the story and understand how she became evil, and I think that's a really interesting thing to do, and to question about human nature. And there's a lot in this film that we hope answers for people that love the original and love the christening and love the fun of her and the wickedness and love Aurora and all her loveliness. But then also we wanted to make it more for modern audiences, where it goes deeper and they're more complex characters, the relationships more complicated, and so we hope it's not just a kind of a new spin, but it's also really updated it to make it more meaningful and give it more resonance to today.
And Elle, on the back of that question there, this idea of the update, what do you think? Obviously we've seen Maleficent from a very different perspective in this version of the Sleeping Beauty story. What's different, do you feel, about Aurora? What's new that's being explored here? What does this film allow us to see of her?
Yeah, well, I think in the original animated version, Sleeping Beauty, in that one, Aurora, she's very, she's definitely kind of a delicate princess and loves all things, and everything that you think a princess is, and kind of all those characteristics she definitely has. But in ours, she still is that way, and she loves everyone, and is very open, and she's not afraid of Maleficent when she meets her, which that kind of terrifies Maleficent. She's like, everyone is normally so scared of me, but Aurora, she hasn't learned that she hasn't learned to be scared of things that look odd, or creatures that have horns. And it's nice for Aurora in this one. She has more depth, and obviously there are a lot of secrets that are kept from her. She thinks both of her parents are dead, and she lives kind of very isolated in this cottage with her 3 fairy aunties, and so she doesn't really know much about outside of the forest, and it's nice that I could bring more layers to her and have more strength than just kind of the pretty princess that's in the original Sleeping Beauty.
And final one for me, Angelina. Despite the new perspective on the villain, presumably it's still incredibly fun to play a compellingly wicked character like this.
It was so much fun. Yeah, she's. It was hard at first. I was actually quite afraid to do it, because I thought, God, the first one was done so perfectly. I thought she was so cool when I was young. She was so elegant and powerful and such a great voice. And I don't, as an actress, I do film. I don't do theater, so I don't actually have that voice, and I'm not used to that kind of performing. And she not only had to have this kind of big voice, but you also have to there's no halfway. You have horns and big, everything about her. I think I had to embrace my bizarre and my silliness, and with yes, I think it is a beautiful story, and it has a lot of depth to it. But we got a little crazy and we had a lot of fun, and I hope that resonates, and I hope that people really are entertained by it. We really did this. I certainly, for this performance, I wanted to entertain, and I hope we did.
Thank you. If we can start the questioning, please. I'm going to start right down there, and then is there a microphone going around? Yes, there. Well, the microphone's there. If you start with the gentleman there with the pen in the air, then we'll come down here, and then we'll go over to the side there.
Okay, to Angelina Jolie at first. Could you tell us a little bit about your childhood with fairy tales? Which ones did you like especially? Which ones did you hate? Which figures did you love and hate? Did you play at school a part in the fairy tale, and which one? And now, as a mother of 6, how do you handle them all with fairy tales?
I wasn't as into fairy tales when I was little, and I think it could also be, I was of the generation of the earlier Disney films, where at that time the princesses, many of the female characters, with the exception of the Maleficents, were not little girls that I admired. The princesses were not characters I looked up to or identified with. I think that's very different now for my girls in the more recent films. My kids, I read them, there's this, Tashi is the story that they love, and he comes in a series of this, well, it's too much to explain, but anyway, Tashi is great. But I usually make up stories for my kids. I don't, I like to tell them stories every night, and I just make up any kind of crazy thing and like to involve them as characters. And like fairy tales, you try to not. The side of the fairy tale I don't like is this idea that there's happy endings, or that there's just good and evil and things are perfect. I like to. I think when there's a good story for children, it has a good sense of a moral tale, and I think that's what I try to teach my kids, and what we try to do with this film.
Thank you. There's a question there. If we can get the microphone to the gentleman there. Keep your hand up in the air, please. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Jelle from Belgium. Questions for Angelina as well. As a child, did you fantasize about the background of Maleficent already? Because I know she's one of your favorite villains from the beginning, from all Disney movies.
I was always curious about her, and I can't tell you how much fun it was. It was like being a kid again when I got the script, and it was like unwrapping the history of where Diabol came from, and who she really was, and much more than I expected. Linda Wolverton did something really special with this, much more than I expected. But yes, I think all kids are curious. They're drawn to not the bad guy, but they're drawn to things that are dark. And I think it's not just simply a desire to be wicked. I think there are things that frighten us in life, and we want to, and especially children, they want to understand so they can take it on, or they want to understand so it frightens them less.
Just take a question down here, please. Thank you.
Hello, this is a question for Angelina. Do you think this is the first of many roles for Vivian, your daughter? And also, do any of your other children show any signs of becoming actors?
The only reason, we never have intended, and we still don't, to put our children in film and encourage them to be actors. Encourage them to be happy in whatever they wish to be. But the reason that we ended up needing to put Vivian in the film is because it was a character when Aurora is 5, and she has to, as she said, not see me as a demon. And all little kids that came to visit set, crew members would bring their children, and they would see me and they would be terrified. They would cry, or they would freeze, and they certainly couldn't do a scene with me. So I didn't. It actually was genuinely out of necessity that it had to be Vivian, so we could have a good scene. But I don't know. It was it's still funny to us, like anybody. It's our little girl, so we see her and she's, you know, she's just silly and sweet, and the idea that she's in the movie is still kind of funny to her mom and dad.
Thank you. The question there, please. Sorry, it's the person behind. Thanks.
So a question to Angelina and also to Elle, if I may. Angelina, when you're playing a character like this, can you shake her off, or did you go and scare the family? And Elle, what was it like acting opposite such a terrifying character? Did she like that in real life?
Let's start with Elle.
No, she's definitely not terrifying in real life. But I do think that no one else could have played Maleficent. I mean, there's also, you know, for me at least, before I met Angelina, I mean, you hear the name, you know, Angelina Jolie, you know, it's like, it's that name. And then I remember meeting her for the first time, and we were at Pinewood Studios, and it was kind of that day, we were doing rehearsals, and I didn't know that I was going to specifically meet her. Then I didn't know if she was here yet, but then kind of went around like, oh, she's here type thing. And then I turned the corner, and there she was, and she was, you know, no horns or anything. She was just normal clothes. And but right away she kind of became flesh, you know. She was like, the name kind of went away, and it's just like Angelina, you know. And people on set are like Angie, and you know. So and right away she gave me a giant hug, and she said, oh, we're going to have so much fun working together, and she shook my shoulders, and I remember that. And yeah, so it was amazing, not terrifying. But when I did see her in the costume for the first time, I wasn't scared, I was more excited, but you know, she had those contact lenses in, and she definitely didn't look like herself, that's for sure.
And in terms of taking the character over, can you shake this kind of thing off before you get it?
I have to ask my family. I thought I did. I thought I came home lovely. You know, the interesting thing about it is, as much as she's a villain and she's dark and she's considered mean, I was very playful as her. So it is a film where it's not me playing as such a heavy role that I come home and my children have to feel the weight of a performance and this kind of darkness. I came home very silly and making, you know, my children love Maleficent's voice, so they always make me do it at home. So I think it actually brought out the child in me to be a part of this kind of film. So I think I was fun.
Thank you. The question there on the end of the row.
From Budapest, Hungary, on Angelina, after becoming the world-famous villain, experiencing her complexity, please tell me, for you as a person, is there anything in her behavior, in her character, that you might envy or maybe admire her?
Well, there is, you haven't seen the film, but there is a lot more to her. She is actually somebody I did in the end like. I think I envy, you know, what's interesting is I think for all of us in this room, you know, for everybody watching her, we all, there's a side of us that would like to be completely free and use our voice to the fullest and have as big a laugh as possible and just really indulge in this kind of, and there's very little opportunities in life where you do this, where you explore this side of yourself and you can kind of test your power and your voice and your strength and and she was that character for me. I didn't know my voice could be that strong, or I didn't know I could have that much fun, and so she certainly has a freedom that in daily life certainly I don't have, most people don't have.
And Elle, just to put that part of that question to you as well, was there anything about this role that you felt you hadn't got to explore before, that was particularly new, that made it exciting for you?
Well, Sleeping Beauty, she definitely has this love of life that's unlike, you know, it's extreme. So because it is a fairy tale, so everything is definitely, you know, exaggerated, and you know, you do see that it's obvious that there's a light and a dark, and that Aurora is definitely kind of the light and the smile of it. And I do envy, you know, her ability to kind of love everything and be so curious about things and be okay with asking questions. Because I think with me, I wonder about a lot, but I don't think I ask enough questions about them. And with her, she's very open and kind of self-confident in a way where she'll just kind of go for it, and she definitely badgers Maleficent with some questions, which I think I would be intimidated too if I was in her place.
Thank you. Question a few rows back there. Yeah.
This is only from Liverpool Matt. I have one question about the intention of the event last night. Can you tell us something about it?
Oh, what the event was last night?
Yeah.
It was lovely. I'd never been there, and it was very unusual for us. Usually, you have a premiere and you show a film, and it's very traditional. It was beautifully done. It was nice to be focusing on the creation of the film. You know, the costumes and the design, and we met some children from the hospital who were just lovely and fun and inspiring, and it was lovely to have them there. And so it was just a really, really lovely evening. I had a really nice time.
Thank you. Can we take a question down in the front corner here, please? Thank you.
In spite of how scary Maleficent is, this is still a Disney movie and it's something that you can take all your children to go and see. And I just wondered, have your children in the past expressed an interest in seeing the films that Mum and Dad have made, and have you had to be selective in what you will let them see and when you'll let them see it?
Yes. The older ones recently saw Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and I think they thought that was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. Watching your parents fight as spies is kind of some strange child fantasy. So yes, they have started to. They're not as excited about it, which is kind of great. They find it. Sometimes it's fun. My littlest one, Knox, he sees Tomb Raider and he thinks Mommy can do all those things. And this one is, I think, I'm maybe the most excited about, because this is really one we can all see, and I think they're all really going to like.
Thank you. There's a question down here. Then I'd like to get that microphone more to the back of the room. They're missing people out there. So the gentleman in the check shirt, keep waving your hand around, please, and then we'll take a question here. Thanks.
Hello. Darren Scott from Gay Times. Disney villains are quite loved by the gay community. How do you feel now about forever being an inspiration to drag queens?
I would be thrilled if it's embraced by the drag queens. I think we all share a love of this kind of costume. I'm with them.
And if you
do you feel you're missing out?
We dress up as princesses too.
if you had to choose a song to lip sync for your life, what would it be?
I'm sorry?
If you had to choose a song to lip sync for your life, what would it be?
A song to lip sync?
Lip sync to.
No. It would definitely be a Queen song.
Pardon?
So it would be a Queen song. I just couldn't pick one at this moment, but it would definitely be Freddie Mercury.
One to think about. There's a question over there, please.
I can't follow that question. Miss Jolie, I wonder where acting now fits in with your priorities, given that you've got directing as well you're getting into, and also your work for the UN and prevent sexual violence.
It's going to be taking more of a backseat. I've had a wonderful career, and I'm very happy to have all the opportunities I've had to tell stories and work for as long as I have. I'm sure there'll be a few more films, but I'm happy I'm able to be selective and have fun with characters like this. But I would like to focus more on writing and directing, and above all, I would like to do more, focus more on my work with the UN and with PSVI. And if I can just say, I do hope everybody in June 10th to the 13th is the conference on sexual violence, and it's an open event, and I hope everybody comes.
Thank you. So a question there in the... Yes, please.
Hi, Joseph Lucic from Croatian Magazine, Florida. Question to Ms. Jolie. We have so far seen only the visual side of the films, and it is great. So have you taken anything from the set home, maybe costume? And the question once more, will we see you again in Sarajevo for the 20th year of the festival this year?
In Sarajevo?
Yeah.
I've always want to go, so I would love to. I always try to go. I will try. Yeah, I love it there, and I love the festival. I think it's one of the best festivals. And did I take anything home? I do have some points at home.
Let's put that question to Elle. Did you take anything home for yourself?
I don't have anything, but I don't know, they're all on display right now, my costumes.
Thank you. Question there, please.
Yeah, hi, question for Angelina. Did you draw anybody from real life when it came to playing this role? Were you thinking about anybody that we know from public life when you came to portray this character?
I didn't. I really did study the classic animated because I thought that actress was such a wonderful. Her voice was so extraordinary, and I thought the original design was amazing. So, but I also listened to a lot of tapes of theater actresses, British theater actresses, and tried to just learn from them. We as Americans we don't have such a gift with the way with language and so I tried to study that, but no one person in particular.
No one particular actress.
Elle, I'll put that to you as well. What was your route to finding your British accent in this film?
Oh, well, I had an amazing had a dialect coach that was with me, and we tried to figure it out. I did a film where I had to have a 60s, it was in the 60s East London accent, so it was very different from this one. And I was like, oh, this one's, we tried to find the right, princess voice. It can't be too soft and gushy, so, she has to have some oomph.
Thank you. There's a question there, man in the blue jumper. I'm not sure if the microphone's close to you. We'll get it there. Thank you.
Hi, I'm on from This Is Fake DIY. My question is for Angelina and Elle. Maleficent is a very well-known character, but with this film it sort of fills in the blanks on that character, which I think is very interesting. Looking at some of the other characters you played, if you could have a film to fill in those blanks, which character would it be and why?
It's a great question. I'm suddenly trying to remember things I've done. Maybe you can help us.
Is
there a character either one of us have played that you feel is not complete, or would be? Does anybody have?
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yeah.
Salt.
Salt.
A Mighty Heart.
Adrian.
Yes. Okay, I'll take them all. Mr. and Mrs. Yes, I feel like I lived out the rest of that one.
Let's move on to the next question. We've got time 2 or 3 more, so we'll make sure we get as many in. There's a woman on the end of the row there in white. If we can get the microphone there, and I'll set up another one there. Woman with red hair in the middle. Excuse my descriptions.
Hello, Shane from BBC Radio Newsbeat. A question for both you ladies. Especially you, Angelina, you're really entrenched in the film industry, producing, directing and acting. I wonder how you both feel about illegal downloading and piracy, and obviously this film, like all films and music, will definitely be subjected to it. If it helps, it comes as it looks like a deal is about to be struck in the UK between the entertainment industry and internet service providers, that there'll be no sort of punitive measures for people who are offenders, illegal downloaders. There'll just be sent a letter saying that we're doing an educational letter. So nothing really strong against these people. And obviously it affects the industry massively.
It does, yes. I don't know if I'm the best person.
That's quite technical, but maybe generally.
It is. Well, I just, in general, you as artists, our job is more, we want to entertain as many people as possible, we want to get stories out. So, but it is a business, it is an industry, and you would hope that people wouldn't do something that would make it more difficult to be able to make films and do films, but you also want your films to reach people, and I don't. So I don't know. I don't know enough about the recent situation to be able to really give you a great answer on that.
You must have friends or people in your age who
lots of people do an ebook download.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, but I know it feels like, they should, it's, if it, they're doing it illegally, and if it's hurting, other people or any other businesses, yeah, it seems like it sounds wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you want law and order, at the same time you hope people will be able to, afford to and have the access to all the art and culture that they want, and keep it affordable to them. So maybe that's part of the answer in making it possible for people to.
It is the biggest problem facing the entertainment industry, though, piracy. It might, could cause the music industry to collapse, possibly even TV.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, that's. It's illegal, so I don't really think I think that's what we're trying to understand with the question. Is something illegal? Yes, it is,
So I'm going to move on to so short time. There's a question in the middle there, please.
Hello. You mentioned earlier the sort of princesses of Disney in days gone by. I just wondered, from both of you, were you conscious of having a sort of female role model for a new generation of children? And how did you approach your characters with that in mind?
I think so. I mean, it's probably you've probably done the most to change the princess.
There's really no backstory on her, I mean, there is, but she needs to have more added layers and make her just have a little bit more substance, because she just frolics around a lot of the other film and sleeps. So, and in this one, I definitely sleep, but I definitely have more scenes. And Linda wrote those scenes where I actually, get to do more. And also, it's I kind of discovered this. Me and Linda were talking that when I meet the prince, it's the first time that Aurora has ever seen a boy in her entire life. So she looks at him kind of like, what is this thing? And so she definitely gave me kind of added little notes that I could use, because I don't think that part of the story, she in the animated movie, Aurora obviously meets the prince. In that one, it's kind of love at first sight, but you don't get that little note of that's the first time she's ever seen a guy in her life. So just the little things all come together to make her a little extra.
Thank you. We've got time for one final question. We're going to take one just down there on the second row. Is the microphone anywhere near there, please? You can just move it along, down to the front. Thank you very much. Excellent.
Hi. This is obviously a reimagining of one of Disney's classics. There's so many great Disney movies out there. If you could reimagine anyone, any character, what would it be?
If you could reimagine it.
Yeah, any other Disney movie that you could take on and really explore a character in it like you've done in this movie, what would it be?
Dumbo?
I love Dumbo.
Yeah, I love Dumbo.
I do think Dumbo is really is one of the best.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea of what needs exploring?
Yeah. I know. Well, we could do it live with Baby Elephant.
See, she is sleeping.
I think that's probably a great note on which to end. I'm sure there's a producer running out the back ready to get that one moving. But Angelina, do you have thoughts?
No, I'd say Dumbo. Dumbo's interesting. I was always fascinated with the mother who was locked up for being mad. Maybe it's a very dark version of Dumbo.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Before that, Maleficent is coming to cinemas here on May the 28th. Thank you, Angelina Jolie Elle. Thanks for joining us this evening. Thank you.